Hello everyone. This is yet another episode of Career Talks by Welcome Solutions, and in these meetings we talk with professionals with interesting career paths who are willing to share their life hacks with us. And today I have great pleasure to introduce Dr. Maria Alforovska, who is actually my friend from grad school, from the Donders Institute. We know each other for years now, and I'm so happy that I can talk to her here today on this platform and talk about her incredible career story so far. And Dr. Maria Otworowska holds a PhD degree in Computational Cognitive Neuroscience awarded by the Radboud University Nijmegen. And during her PhD, she studied mechanisms underlying learning and decision-making. Towards the end of her PhD, she decided to leave academia and try her luck in the real world. She moved to Barcelona and entered the corporate world as a data science at King, an independent unit of Activision Blizzard Inc, an entertainment company producing games. And she quickly realized that the corporate world was not her life path, and it gave her the courage to come up with an original startup idea and pursue it full time. So she went from cognitive science to skincare and chemistry. Now she's the founder of Skin Bliss, was awarded a place in one of the most influential accelerators in the beauty industry, Sephora Accelerate, where she has been receiving mentoring and guidance on her business. Welcome, Maria. So happy to see you. And I'm excited to hear your story told from your own perspective.
Hi, Natalia. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm very excited to talk to you and to share my weird life path. So basically, just like you said, I started my adult life thinking that I would be a scientist forever and ever. So I graduated at cognitive science in Poland, in Poznań, Adam Mickiewicz University. And then I went to do my PhD in the Netherlands. And then along the way, I realized that actually maybe academia is not the right place for me. And of course, if you, for your whole life, if you think that something is the right place and it turns out not to be, then you are sort of left with the feeling of being completely lost and not knowing what to do with life, which was on one hand, of course, terrifying, but also pretty exciting because, I could be anything I wanted to be in principle. Well, maybe not a rocket scientist, but otherwise, the majority of occupations I could do. Okay, maybe not a heart surgeon, but the rest, yes. In any case, yes. So I was always more or less into tech, not by profession, but by interest. And then I sort of looked around, what are the cool things people do these days? And turns out that, data science is the big new discipline that everybody wants to be a data scientist. And that's the best you can do basically in life. So I was like, okay, let's see what it is. And yeah, so I applied to this position at King, and apparently, well, they liked me enough to employ me. And it was definitely an interesting experience. I learned a lot, especially I learned a lot about like corporate life that I had no clue about before, only from TV shows. So that was definitely something worth learning. But quickly I realized that yes, while it might be interesting in principle, like it's not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. Also, I didn't really enjoy being like just part of this big corporate machine, just this little gear in the whole system. So I thought, okay, so that's not it. So what else can one do in life? And yes, of course, sort of having your own business and having your own startup, it's another cool thing that is happening in these days. And I thought, okay, why not to give this a try? And basically, I've already had a little alpha version of an app to scan cosmetic ingredients, and this version received a lot of positive feedback and a lot of people were interested in it. So I thought, well, why not to try to develop this into actual product? And yeah, so after brainstorming a bit on the angle, because in the end I wanted to use some of the the professional skills that I've developed over my life. So For example, like to basically take a AI focus on skincare. And this is how we started with Skin Bliss. Yes. So basically, Skin Bliss currently is a mobile app that offers personalized recommendations depending on the person's skin type, skin concerns, and skin conditions. And we apply, so we've developed like a proprietary algorithms to understand skincare formulation on one hand. So we not only look at sort of the label of the product, but actually what's going inside of it and what the formulation is. So we try to like guess the formulation. And so this on one hand. On the other hand, we also work with dermatologists and skin therapists in order to better understand skin problems and skin concerns. And we combine it all together and we have our little app. So basically, so the current version of the app still is in a limited, like a limited version, like pre-MVP, and actual MVP is coming out in like 2 weeks. So yeah.
Sounds very exciting. Sounds very exciting. So that's this, you know, I think the most exciting stage of the development. So I'll ask you more questions about that later on. But my first question would be, so how did it happen that you transferred from cognitive neuroscience to skincare? Like, is your interest in skincare, like, did it stem from your private interest in this topic, or where did you take inspiration from?
That's a very good question, and I keep asking myself this every day. So no, I have zero interest in skincare. Like before doing it, my skincare routine was like non-existing. Like I didn't care at all. And why I went into it, because it was sort of like a personal intellectual challenge. So I've developed some skin problems and I couldn't solve them. So I would go to a dermatologist, skin therapist, esthetician, all of these people, and they would advise me something, but the advice never worked. Mm-hmm. And I sort of took it personally, like, okay, like it cannot be that difficult. I can figure it out. And sort of, yeah, so basically like a, yeah, as I said, personal challenge to understand how it works. And I quickly realized that basically the whole industry, the whole beauty industry is, well, a mess, basically. A lot of misinformation, fear-mongering marketing, and it's really difficult to distill the actual facts, because if you Google something, for each topic, you have two opposing posts or two opposing articles. And then as a user or as a consumer, I was really left completely stuck into deciding what actually can work and what won't work for me. So yeah.
Well, to be perfectly honest, that's perfectly like, I mean, that reminds me of cognitive neuroscience a lot, because whatever brain part you Google and whatever cognitive process you Google, you will definitely find at least one study that reported the involvement of this brain part in this process.
It's this is a good analogy, yes.
We have
it's just more of the same, you know.
Yeah, we have so many false positive studies that, you know, you can't really, I mean, build any new hypothesis like reliably anymore, I feel. So for every single, you know, you can, you know, there are so many false positives in published studies that whatever you build up on top of that, it's like you can never be sure that you have good grounds in the first place. So extremely hard, I think, to progress with building any know-how anymore. Yeah, but like you know, this is one of, you know, let's not get there, but I get it. I get that, you know, that's also, I mean, in many ways it relates to what is the common like perception of beauty industry. It's a common perception is that, you know, this like big corporations that do stuff behind the closed door, and we as consumers don't really know much about what they do. And we can only rely on media, but it's not necessarily the reliable
right platform.
Yeah, and advertisement, which is in principle hustling. So what do we know? Okay, so let me ask a question from the audience right now. Question is from Gaia. Hey Maria, I was wondering how your background in cognitive science was helpful, if at all, And what do you do now? And second question is, for what do you know? For what you do now? Sorry. And second question is, what were the challenges that you've encountered while starting a new business without being an expert in the field? And what made you confident enough to still do it?
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. Yeah, so to answer the first one about my background, so in principle, like my research topic was not related to skincare at all, right? But so on this one-to-one mapping level, no, but on the process level and way of thinking level, definitely. Like in the end, what I'm doing is just another basically PhD project in a new field. So I definitely can transfer some of my skills that I already collected during my PhD into this project. But also, so part of my PhD research was research on decision making, which essentially can be applied to understanding how consumers make decisions about buying cosmetics. So that's definitely something that while I do not use, again, like one-to-one, I can sort of like employ it into analyzing the market better and understanding the consumer better. And yes, so there was about challenges, and what was before?
The other question was, what made you still dare to start a business in a field that you're not an expert in? So how did you find courage?
I guess a lot of lying to myself, a lot of delusional thoughts and just wanting to do it. So basically, so it was easy to pitch the project as an AI project, because in the end, what we do is we try to come up with algorithm. So then I could always tell myself, well, I might not be an expert in skincare per se, but I know a thing or two about AI. So that's sort of my entry point.
Right.
But then over time, I also, so as you mentioned, I was part of the Cephalar Accelerator, which actually finished a couple of months ago. And during this time, I also learned more about the industry. I learned who is who and what is what. So it gave me additional, confidence into what I'm doing. But still, I think it's just a healthy dose of being delusional and being naive. So I might think I know something, but probably I don't know anything about the industry, but still doesn't stop me in doing it. So yeah, you just have to try.
Yeah, that's I mean, I get this dilemma, because I think to actually start a company, you have to be in this healthy, like in this middle between like someone who is entirely rational, because if you're entirely rational, you will never start a company, because why would you? With your skills, you can always get a corporate job and have a safe paycheck and good benefits and just enjoy life. And you don't really have to risk and work for pretty much nothing for years, risking if there will be any payoff in the end or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't have that like madness element to your personality, you will never take that decision, because why would you? And but on the other hand, if you're a mad person, like you have absolutely no like oil in your head, like you just jump on whatever you find exciting without thinking about strategy, then you will never become like successful anyway. So like you have to somehow be in this like middle between the two extremes, I think.
So what helped from so I just want to say that what helped for me was the positive feedback. So I didn't just do it behind the closed doors and nobody ever knew about this, but I put up like frequently different versions and talked to people, and everybody said that's what we need. So that was definitely encouraging. Maybe they were just nice to me, but maybe not. So definitely this positive feedback from people is sort of like this validation to continue in the madness.
But that's also true that when you start talking about the ideas, like every idea seems shiny at first, and actually now I think after like 2 years of having a company, I'm much more skeptical towards new ideas, and I can see the pitfalls straight away, like much better than before. And now I'm quite a skeptic, now I'm much more critical to like my friends' ideas, for instance, than I used to be. But initially, like everything seemed shiny. But after after you see all these stories of failure, and you start seeing those potential backlashes and potential pitfalls, then only then you become a bit more skeptical, and in a healthy way, I think. But yeah, it's also like when you pitch to your family and friends, they are usually very positive about it. So it's also actually, I have a few friends who are like by nature quite critical, and I consciously keep in touch with them, because I know that these are the like voices
Useful friends.
of wisdom that are actually worth asking, because my family will always say that everything is absolutely great. And that every idea is a $1 million idea. So I have to keep in touch with people who are like just very down to earth, and it's true. Okay, but well, it turned out for good for you. So after all, it was not a bad decision, I guess. And I can see you. I mean, I know that you're happy about your life. So I think this is eventually this is the best like success meter, I think. And anyways, like let's get back to the questions from the audience. Lakshmi is asking, would you actually recommend use of skincare? I'm asking with this respect to someone who hasn't used any sort of skincare. If yes, why?
Thank you for your question. And definitely yes. Yes, it's proper skincare routine is like proper diet, basically. Like you can, eat just chips and some fried food. You will live, but it's not the best for your body. Like the same with skincare, you can just use some random Nivea cream from supermarket. Sure, it will not kill you, but again, like it is not really something that your skin likes or that your skin wants. And since skin is basically like the biggest organ in our body, like we should take a good care of it. So basically, I think that but one needs to also be careful not to like go into extremes. Like I know there's this huge now trend into applying acid and layering your skincare. So basically, skincare routines like 20 steps, and you like put different acid and then like different potions, and then that's also I feel like so if you're into it, I think it's great, and if you know what you're doing, it's also great. But I also feel that this creates a lot of pressure on people who are just entering the skincare world. Like if you Google something and then you get suddenly 12-step routine, and we're like, whoa, I don't know, 12 steps, I just used soap so far, so what should I use? So definitely no pressure in using like 10 different products, but to like sort of basic care, and also understanding what works for you and what doesn't. I think it's also very important, and it doesn't happen so easily. So even though we have certain like defined skin types or skin concerns, like in the end, every person is different, and every person may react differently on different ingredients. So to actually get this insight into what works for you and what doesn't is really difficult. And I hope that with the app, I can sort of facilitate this self getting to know. And yes, so I would definitely recommend understanding what you need and just applying something simple in the beginning, and maybe you're into it, maybe not. And yeah, and definitely your skin will thank you later when you get older.
Yeah, actually, I have to say that Maria previously taught me also that the sunscreen works well for
Yeah, sunscreen is a must.
So,
even in winter, basically, even at home when you sit. So it's like so exactly. If you are to choose at least one step in your beauty routine, make it a sunscreen. It's really important, and not only for how the skin looks like, but also for your health, like for developing potential health issues by not wearing sunscreen and by being exposed to UV light.
And that's like one of these like bonus tips, like I usually talk about post-PhD careers on this channel, but once in a while there is some piece of, wisdom that can change a lot in your like life. And I feel this is one of those little tricks, because with the skincare, it's the same as with diet and with any other element of your daily life. It's it doesn't matter if you go to a best dermatologist just once and get all this complex treatment. If that's just once, it's much better to take these small steps every single day, like use sunscreen or clean your skin, and do very simple routine. But if it's repeated every day for 20 years, you will see a difference. And that, so thank you for that. I actually ever since you told me that first, I actually used the sunscreen. So
oh, I'm so happy! My goodness, already making change.
I even used it over winter. My parents were like, "What are you doing? It's December." I was like, "But I know it from the expert in the field."
Yeah, very good. I'm very happy about this. Yes.
Cool. And coming back to how PhD actually influences your chance for success as an entrepreneur, I think I also feel that I have to say that I fully I'm on the same page with you, that I also the things I do right now, they have little to do with neuroscience. I think the only commonality is that I use a bit of my knowledge in neuroscience when I teach, because I know a little bit about how the brain creates memories and how human memory works, at least the basic facts in that department. So I use it to structure the class so that actually the important facts actually stick to the participants' minds better. So yeah.
Do you advertise it like this as well? My techniques are based on neuroscience, and after one class, you'll remember everything.
Well, I don't advertise it like that because I feel, I don't have any research to back it up. It was not, scientifically proven that this is a method that improves memory. I just use the tricks that I know will work and engage the audience. So, I mean, I use it in my practice, but yeah, that's not what I advertise really. Maybe I should. But so this is so I just wanted to say that this is the only commonality. But I think what helps me the most is the professional ethic that we developed during PhD. So this independence and the ability to work on your own and wait for the gratification for a really long time. So this is something that really comes useful when you have to develop a startup, and the technical aptitude as well. So being diligent for sure. And I think, this is no longer true that, the Pareto principle. So this principle that you only have to do 20% of the effort, because in 20% of the effort, you already get 80% of the results. So you don't really have to care about the remaining 20%. I think it's no longer true in 21st century when we have internet. So because it used to be one of the most popular principles in business, that you just have to create an MVP, whatever that is, just put it out and start selling as quickly as possible. But today, bad reviews spread so quickly through internet that I don't think this is true anymore. And I think diligence as in everything you do actually pays off, and there is nothing worse than just create this half-baked product and without much thinking, just put it out to the market, and then I see it happening a lot. But I think the fact that we are PhDs and we have a habit of really finishing projects decently before we put them out for sale, I think it's really helpful. I don't know how what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, so I guess on one hand, I definitely agree, but on the other hand, I also being part now of the startup community and sort of going through different approaches like all the successful startup went through. I do see a certain benefits of just putting whatever out there, but also depends how you handle it then. So maybe not to sell it, but you just share it with people, and you make people sort of make your users in charge of your product. You say, well, this is not working super much, but come to the platform, help me build this. And I think it creates a really powerful it's a powerful tool for community building, and people feel important in, you know, sharing their feedback and then seeing that the feedback is actually implemented. I think it's actually something pretty cool. So well, I could consider my current app sort of like a, well, definitely not a sellable product, but it's out there and people talk about this and people use it. And I also have like a feedback form in the app, so people can share their thoughts, and it's very popular. So I get a lot of messages from all over the world, people sharing what they want next in the app, and most of the things will be implemented now in this version. So I hope that they will also feel that, oh yeah, I told her this idea, now it's there. So it's also like a positive effect.
That's great. That's a great piece of advice. Yeah, I see that too. Actually, if you communicate with your audience through social media and put updates out there, and then they see the progress, they see how you're developing, then they started getting interested. And I myself also get a lot of comments and ideas. So and that's a positive surprise. You know, I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I hoped that there won't be much hate, but I didn't really hope. I didn't really anticipate that there will be so much help from people who I barely know or I don't know at all. So that's
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. Well, that's but that also requires like communication skills. Now I'm actually happy that I developed my writing skills more than my coding skills, because like if you have a little business, you have to communicate and write the whole day pretty much. Everything from blogs through like website content to social media posts, and it's a lot of writing actually, but it's rewarding indeed.
Yeah, I guess definitely. And unfortunately, I'm very bad at it. So basically, my whole team is very bad at it, and we don't really. So basically, it's really hard to find like that we are the behind schemeless. Like so yeah, we have an Instagram account where we share like, well, useful tips for the users about skincare. And actually, we recently started working with a freelancer on it. So that's helpful to sort of offload it, but to sort of, you know, me speaking as a founder, nope, doesn't happen anywhere. But of course, I know it's important. I know that I want to improve it, but it's just also like this. There's only that much you can do within 24 hours of a day, and usually these things sort of go in the lower priority if you see that you have a stack of things that you have to do. So this is kind of, you deprioritize it. But I do feel that it's very important. Actually, about the positive feedback, like yesterday we discovered that our app is very popular in one of the Facebook groups in Mexico about skincare, to the extent that so just to give context of what these groups are. So these groups are for skincare enthusiasts who sort of share different skincare products or ask for advice. So they would say, my skin is this and this, it's my concerns, and this is a product I'm considering. What do you community think? And a lot of these posts are now replying with advertising our app. So the person's asking, so what do you think about this product? And then somebody comments, skin bliss, skin bliss, skin bliss. I was like, whoa, it's like crazy. So that's really super positive. And actually we posted yesterday like an official post in the group asking, like thanking them for the for using the app and asking about their feedback, so what they want, so what would they like to see in the next version, something like this, sort of more engage the community. But yeah, like it was totally unexpected. And also, so what I find very difficult is to actually find these groups. So I have statistics, right? So I see, for example, we did see a spike in downloads from Mexico, but we couldn't attribute it to the source. So we couldn't find exactly where it comes from. Or recently, like last week, I had like in total maybe like 2,000 visits on the website from Poland, and I just couldn't find the source, like because it was just, I got the keyword, so somebody was Googling skin bliss from Poland, but why were they Googling it? I just couldn't find the source. So that's very frustrating, because I would love to sort of jump on it, and if they talk about the app, I would love to go there and, you know, engage with them. But I don't know, if somebody has a like advice about the tool that actually does it, then please share, because I would be happy to pay for it just to understand and find these sources of people talking about the app. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Maybe someone mentioned about your app in an article or something like that, and that generate that. But I have no idea. Like honestly, I also just learn about Google Analytics, and indeed, there is so much information you just can't get from there. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. And my question for you would be, but how did it all happen? So, how did you start? Like, did you have an investor early on, or how did you set a startup? And can you tell us a little bit more about the, the team? Because I know that it's not just you; it's also your partner in the startup. So, and recently, there's also another person, I guess. So. Could you tell us a little bit more about the story of how the team was assembled and how did you launch your company?
Yeah. So basically, we went full time. So my partner and I went full time last year, last February, just before pandemics happened. So before the lockdowns, and yeah. So we do not have like an external investor. We sort of bootstraps with some help from triple F, so friends, family, and fools. They may choose who they want to be, friends, family, or fools. And yeah, and along the way, so basically, how the team was built further is people just approach us. So we didn't look for, okay, so maybe in the beginning we tried to sort of find some advisors on or to collaborate with somebody, and then we would reach out to people, and it was never successful. So we did talk to some people. We thought we had some agreement, but it didn't fly in the end. So we got a bit discouraged, and we said, okay, we can just do it ourselves. But along the way, sort of more and more people started contacting us and asking to join our team. So we thought, well, that's great, and that actually worked pretty well. So now it's the two of us as a co-founders plus one new co-founder that we started working on working with in November. So it was also, I guess, pretty funny coincidence. So her name is Anna, and she was looking for. So basically, she was interested in the industry and sort of doing market research, and then she found our app. And because on the like when you download the app in iOS, you see that, well, I'm the sort of developer behind the app. So then she Googled me, and then she found me on LinkedIn, and then she realized that we actually worked at King together at some point. So it was a lot of, so she's also from Barcelona, and then not only that I was from Barcelona, but also we worked at the same place. So and she reached out, and we met a couple of times, and in the end we decided to, formalize the relationship, so to say. And yeah, so this is our the founders team, but we also currently have two interns. So one of them moved from Paris here to be with us, which is absolutely crazy. And if you're watching it, girl, hi. and we also work with a freelancer on our social media, and she's from London, living in London currently. Yeah, so it's at some point sort of, so it was just us, and then suddenly we grew to quite a big team, and so that also comes with challenges. Oh, we also collaborate with two skincare experts, so they are not officially part of the team, but we work closely with them. So that's definitely a lot of new roles I had to find myself in, which is not always easy.
Okay, and how does it work between you and your partner, who is also your co-founder? So I know that for some people that actually works very well to create a company with a partner. For some people it's a disaster. It's actually, the stakes are higher, right? Because if you lose your relationship, you also lose your company. So it's actually double. Yeah, that's, the stake is double. So like, how does it work for you?
So I agree, definitely the stakes are double, but also the benefits are double as well, because to found a company with somebody, you need to really trust them. And I wish that everybody can trust their partners. So that definitely was a huge plus. Like So there was like sort of no discussion there. Like, I know that I can trust completely in him and that nothing wrong will come out of it. But also we had experience working together before. So we even co-authored one paper during our PhD times. And then we developed one mobile game together. So it was not that we just suddenly jumped on working together, but we already sort of tried this before and we knew that we can work together and communicate easily. So it is definitely really good. And I do feel that because we work so closely and we can, you know, always discuss everything without like sending messages, it might be difficult for our team members to actually keep up with us because we can already discuss everything among like between us and then sort of do the discussion with the rest of the team. So we try to also make sure that when we discuss something new, that we bring all of the whole team together. But definitely that was a good decision for both of us and I would recommend it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not something you can really arrange, you know, just like that.
It's true.
Yeah, okay.
But I guess, of course, also risks are higher, right? So if it doesn't fly, then we both are without a job and without, you know, any savings or anything like this because we both invested in the startup now. So we have to make it work. Extra pressure. But yeah, I guess in the end, it's definitely worth it, at least for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, knowing you, it actually works for you pretty well. Like, I know that you're happy. So, well, that's a good example. So if there's anyone out there who needs relationship / entrepreneurial advice, then Maria is the person to go. All right,
Yep.
great. And what is your business model precisely at the moment? Because I know that initially it was B2C, right? It was like an app sold at the App Store, but I think you changed your business model. Is that true?
Yeah. So the in-app purchases was something very old, and it's no longer the case. But it is true that for now we are still focusing on B2C, but for free. So basically, we don't want to charge the users for anything, and so the idea is to build big enough user base to then go B2B and then bring retailers and different brands to our platform. So currently we connected with a couple of affiliate marketing platforms, which is, well, it's not business model per se, but something to sort of support us along the way. But the long-term goal is B2B services for beauty retailers and brands. Yeah, and long-term goal is also more into data analytics and insights because we will have a huge database of users and concerns and products, and to actually, I think it's pretty unique because not like you cannot really buy this data from anywhere. So that's also something that we hope we can see what we can do with it in the future. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean that's the general direction, right? That's also why it's so hard for new business, like new startups in like in the app industry, to actually to become profitable, because as soon as you are large enough and start offering your services for free to customers, because you're big enough to actually go B2B, then no new startups can actually compete. If they have to charge, if they have to put on a paywall, then they can't really beat you anymore. So well, that's great. I mean, it's great that you risk to actually do it now when you don't have, I don't know about your cash flow, but you're not big, like large company yet, but you already got over that step. So that's great. Perfect. Okay. Well, that's very exciting, actually. I think I have it installed in my browser. From what I remember, I have Skin Bliss already. If you guys don't have Skin Bliss installed yet, then it's a Chrome extension, right?
It's mainly a mobile app. The Chrome extension is just an addition, and it was not maintained for a long time. So if you're to install something, go for mobile app.
All right, then I'm yeah, then I have an outdated version. Then I have to do my homework now. But I'll try a new one. I'm curious how it works.
Yeah, I will let you know. So the new release is in like 2 weeks or something like this. So, and then everything changes, then you can find your perfect skincare product.
Okay, so I'd like to ask you a little bit more about how you personally, how did you learn all the know-how to build apps? Because I know that you were coding in your PhD, but this is a quite a different type of coding, right? So you had to learn everything you need to know to build apps, and from what I understand, this like in many cases it requires like years of experience before you can actually sit down and do it on your own. And typically what developers do is basically becoming interns and working in teams under supervision of more senior developers for quite a few years before they are independent enough to be able to build the whole project by themselves. So how did it happen that in such a short time you managed to learn all that you needed to actually do it by yourself?
Um, yeah, I keep learning every day basically. So as you said, I had zero experience in making apps and I had no clue how to do it. And basically step by step when I was working. So basically my sort of side project and the main project was the same. So I never like develop anything else and then just transfer the knowledge into Schemeless, but I just started building the Schemeless from scratch by learning, basically by reading documentation of different different things. So I don't claim that the app is perfect, and what you said is totally true, that when you learn something new, first you need to work with somebody who knows how to do it in order to sort of learn from them the right way. And I definitely never had this. And so I still think that probably if somebody looked at my code, they would be like completely, outraged of the ways I'm using, like I'm implementing certain things. But for now, I guess it's okay because it's working and it's not slow. So the two most important things are there. So definitely what is actually even more challenging for me is the backend. So to make the app is, well, I don't say that it's easy, but it's relatively easy because you already have sort of like an out. So you change something and then you can reload it on your phone and you see what the change actually made, like what kind of change it is. While when you try to sort of build up the backend and make sure that it's like scalable and that all users can be connected at the same time and everything works perfectly. I still have troubles really navigating this. So far so good, but we also didn't like reach super high numbers. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe if we have 100,000 users at the same time, it will crash and burn. But I will worry about it later when the time comes. But like, just to answer the question, yes, it's definitely a lot of reading around online tutorials basically and Stack Overflow and just seeing how it works. Yeah.
Perfect. Wow, that's incredible, because also like you had to be a hipster and a hacker in one, right? So you build a product, but you're the salesperson, or at least you used to be until this point, right?
So definitely it's challenging to. So on one hand, it's challenging, but on the other hand, it's also good because, well, I'm the specialist. So if somebody asks me some question, I can actually answer it because I made it, so I know what's what. But it is true, like in terms of trying to find investors or writing pitch decks, it is super time consuming. So basically, like usually startups go into two modes, either development mode or investment raising mode, and it's really challenging to sort of balance these two at the same time. So yeah, I definitely look forward for the time when actually we can employ proper developers so they can take care of the the implementation, so I can focus more on the bigger vision and the business itself.
Right. I perfectly get what you mean, because I also, I started a company by myself, and I had to do absolutely everything in the company. And I'm also actually, it's very hard, I think, to keep that balance indeed. So at the same time be visible and also do meaningful work and produce content, and I totally get it that it's actually much easier to focus on 12 hours on just one thing and just go like through these sprints for a few weeks, but then ignore outside world and just do your stuff. And then it's much less tiresome than when you have to chop your day into pieces and then take care of the sales on one hand, and outreach and visibility, and at the same time spend half a day like in the deep work mode. And so that's much harder indeed, and I myself struggle how to find a perfect working scheme so that I can kind of balance between the two without extorting myself with work. And yeah, I get it. That's the hardest part, because like switching between the two modes is much easier, I have to say. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wish you, like, I think you're like you have the momentum right now. So I think if you already have that team, then probably in a few months you get to that milestone when you can have developers as well.
Hopefully, yes. I am pretty
Yeah.
hoping on it.
All right. So next question would be, do you ever miss neuroscience or academia?
Sometimes in my darkest hours, definitely. So I think what I'm missing the most is, I think, the intellectual challenge. So of course it is what I'm currently doing. It is complicated. There's not simple stuff, right? But it's also not, not that cognitively challenging. Like in the end, what like to build a company, like other people already done this, and you can sort of, also intuitively feel what's right, what's not. But when you're actually working on a novel research topic, it's like, just you and your brain. So I definitely miss this stimulation, I guess. I cannot find it anywhere else. I can't find it in coding because it's not that challenging. So again, it's not simple, but it is not cognitively challenging.
Right.
But it's not to say that I would consider going back. No, but more to sort of think about my own research, sort of, R&D division of Bliss. So actually, recently I agreed to supervise a master's student. So that's something that brings me kind of a lot of joy right now. So to basically not think about the business per se, but actually about, the research topic and what we can do to answer the research question properly and stuff like this. So that's cool. But of course, like the topic it's not neuroscience or cognitive science, it's marketing. So it's new field for me, but it's, not that challenging.
Right. Well, I feel for you. I sometimes have the same feeling that there was some beauty in just sitting in front of your computer for 8 hours and trying to crack some really abstract problem, and without basically having any concern about the outer world.
Exactly.
And it was frustrating for me back then, but now I feel like it was also a lot of mental peace. You didn't have to switch between so many tasks. You could just focus on just one problem, and that was also something, and indeed intellectually challenging one. And actually, that's also why, as a hobby, I sometimes get to more technical problems. And at the moment I'm actually writing some chapter about a very technical project with a friend who is actually an expert in that area. I'm more of a guinea pig to actually like read his stuff and ask stupid questions so that he can improve the text. So basically that's how we are writing it. But it's actually challenging for me to understand the subject matter, and that's something that is a good counterbalance to my day job, which is, career advisory. That what I do now is like very inspiring job, and like joyful, like enjoyable thing to do. But compared to these abstract problems from PhD, yes, it's not, in that sense challenging. So it's a challenging, but in a different way. And so I totally understand what you mean. Like I also have to search for additional stimulation elsewhere sometimes, because it's not, yeah, I have that need as well. So,
but do you feel that your brain gets lazy? Like sometimes when I don't know, say some new research article comes out from a field that I used to work in, and I want to go through it, I was like, oh, lazy brain, lazy brain. And I'm just so annoyed at myself that it's just I let it, slip so much. But it's just, I guess, the price we have to pay.
yeah, I think it's because if you have so many tasks in daily basis and with so many different from so many different directions, it's just your like working memory develops in a different way, and it's more flat, like, but more like you have more cognitive flexibility, but the depth is lower as well. So I think so it's like it's a trade-off. You have to choose. You can't. I think you can't be a specialist and go deep into one subject on like, because the literature that you were reading in your PhD, probably the same for me. It's like, world-class experts talking about some very narrow, deep problem. So it's not like a daily press. It's a really specialistic press that maybe 200 people can understand, or maybe 2,000. But so it's indeed, like, it's a muscle you have to train, or otherwise you lose that ability to follow. But it's also, I think, if even if we stayed in academia and became professors at some point, like, they often also like usually just skip through the text and get the basic concepts. And I feel that even if you become a tenured researcher, then many of them just start looking at the problems from helicopter point of view, and they no longer like see these little details and nuances in the models. Like, not all of them, some of them, I feel. So even if you stay in academia, it can happen, I think.
That's true, yeah.
So like, I get what your concern is, because I also sometimes feel maybe you get stupider. It's just is it that you're getting older, or you just genuinely certifiably stupid? Or, but I think it's just a different type of intelligence that develops like instead of what you were working on before.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. Like,
At least the lies we can tell ourselves.
yeah,
But definitely what's amazing compared to working in academia is that actually what you do matters for people, right?
yeah.
As you said yourself, like, otherwise maybe, a couple of thousand people could understand, and only, 20 would read, and in the end nobody really cared about anything. And now, all the people writing and saying, oh, the app changed my life, the app changed this, I did this. It's like amazing feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'm happy I made the sacrifice, but it's still a bit painful sometimes.
I mean, I get it. All right. And now, like, I have a I'm just personally curious, because like, from the business development point of view, like, what you learned for this project. So how to build an app, and how to scrap the data, and how to build a model out of it, and how to present the data, to the user. And is this the set of technical skills, it feels to, like, I feel that it can be like a bunch of transferable skills that, using the same architecture, you are probably able to create 50 other apps in other domains and to solve other problems. Like, have you already thought about your future? Like, after you develop this project, do you think that this is the project for you, or are you also thinking about launching some other possibly some other apps, or maybe investing in other projects? Do you have any thoughts about your future as a business developer?
Yes, I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of hopes and a lot of delusional thoughts mainly. Yes, so I do hope that it's sort of, so if once I'm done with it and say we can make it successful and we can make an exit, I would be content with life, and I don't think I would be up for developing anything new from scratch. I feel like time to retire. But I definitely, if I have the financial resources, I would definitely like to be the investor and then just invest in other startups, even something small, but to still be part of it, but not to have to pull it fully. Yeah. But yeah, these are like dreams for the future. Like, not gonna happen within the next 5 to 10 years, if we're lucky. Yeah.
Well, let's be positive about it. It's like, you have an app, and with the user base for apps is usually, the growth is not linear. Like the growth is exponential. One day, like, one of the Kardashians will basically say something on Instagram, oh, look at this app, and then all of a sudden you have 10 million users one day.
But that the likelihood of this happening is like 0. So I guess that it's sort of like these fairy tales all the app developers sort of repeat to to themselves, that the user growth, once we become viral, we just need this one viral post and then everything's gonna change. But for most of the apps, this viral post never comes. So the planning for development of the app doesn't take into account the virality. We have to, keep our numbers realistic. We do have kind of exponential growth, but in the beginning to have exponential growth is not that difficult, like if you start with 0 users and then so but we definitely see the growth. So that's also something, validation. So all of these little metrics, it's just more and more validation, and either building into our delusion or actually leading us towards something good. So it's still, the jury is still out there which one is gonna be for Skin Plus.
And do you leave Arnold Schwarzenegger's lifestyle, who basically believes that there is no plan B, or you have any form of plan B in your head, or there is no plan B for you?
Yeah, of course, I'm toying with different scenarios, and so I guess the easiest plan B would be to try again in the corporate world and just learn to live with it and learn to live with hating my job, as 90% of human population does. Or I could try more into freelancing, and I don't have anything concrete, but I definitely would prefer to work for myself if that can be arranged somehow. I really don't want to go back to having a boss and people telling me what to do.
Yeah, I totally get it. Like myself, that was also my resolution, that I felt I just don't want to have another boss. I would rather jump out of the window. Like, so there is no plan B really, because it has to work, or otherwise I'm gonna do it.
My goodness.
Yeah. So
now you have to have this, the suicide line number written somewhere down the screen.
yeah, just move, because you know what happens when you don't. Yeah, well, it works for me. But it's also, sometimes like I have to motivate people to change their careers, and sometimes, and when I'm asked like what is motivating to you, like I can't share, because how can I tell people, oh yeah, I just tell to myself, work, because window is up here, this is what waits for you. I can't teach people this motivation strategy. Well,
I can tell you that if I totally wish it works out for you, but if it doesn't work out for you and it does work out for me, there will always be a place for good schemeless. And I promise not to be the boss.
Yeah, well, I have like positive.
Okay, didn't convince you.
But I like to keep positive about it. Like, no one has, like, it's hard for all startups today, but yeah, there will be, you have to be tough, get over the crisis, and it will definitely be better And I think it's like it's all about adaptation. Like before the crisis, I knew absolutely nothing about how to get attention online, and I still like I'm on the learning curve, but I'm already much more down the line than a year ago. A year ago,
Mhm.
even creating a simple Facebook ad was like an abstraction for me. I was like, oh, this is this marketing stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what is this? And now
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay, okay. So how to get down with the pay per click? Like which type of like 150,000 strategies is best? And now
Mhm.
I'm like, I absolutely have no like hesitation to use marketing, because like
Mhm.
this is something you have to do. And I think over the last year I just changed the thinking about all aspects of online business. But yeah, it will be. I have a gut feeling it will be really good. It will go very well for you, and well, it's already going well. Like I have to say that I'm impressed with what you do, and
But still,
especially yeah,
it's
especially
not written in stone. Yeah.
yeah, but especially given this deep water you've jumped into, like not only new country, so you left you left the country you knew, you started over somewhere else, in an industry you don't know, that is also not very welcoming to, I would say, strangers, right?
Mhm.
So they will not share information with you
Mhm.
easily and without capital, and you are already and you are afloat for like 2 or 3 years now, so that's in itself I think a success. So I think it's a great achievement already. All right,
Thank
so
you. Yeah.
um can I ask you, like, lastly, about some general advice for PhD graduates? So is there anything you would like to share for those who are still in academia and they're hesitating about what path they should take next in their career, and maybe they also take into account they might, yeah, they have the desire to be independent, but they are just fearful and hesitating if they should try.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess my advice is to follow your heart, I guess, and don't be afraid. And basically, the only thing you can buy yourself after your PhD is time. So if you have some savings for your PhD, just spend some time trying different things and seeing what works for you, what doesn't. I think that's the best way you can then figure out what you want to do. And I'm pretty sure you can still go back to academia, like unless you take, I don't know, 10 years, and then maybe not. But like if it's, even a year, like to have a gap year, I still think it should be fine. And it's definitely gonna be, you might, regret it if you don't do it. I think, yeah, everybody deserves a gap year at some point in life. So go for it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, basically, I think just it's important to do what feels right. And if it's something doesn't feel right, it's not worth compromising. In the end, it's your life. So you have to make sure that you're comfortable with it.
Right. I feel also maybe to know what feels right is also good to rest a bit. So
Oh, yeah.
indeed, maybe even if you don't, if you can't afford the gap year, because that's not what everyone can afford, then even a gap month, like I think gap
Mhm.
month is something that reasonably everyone can afford after
Yeah.
their PhD, unless you were a drunkard and you were just spending absolutely all your money. And I think after this, but then you don't deserve a break. Then you just should do something with your life. But other than that, if you are saving like any little amount per month like that, then you should be able to at least spend a month or two thinking
Mhm.
about yourself. And I think that intuition only can only work when you're rested. And sometimes we're just too much in like a rush, rushing around doing sometimes useless projects
Mhm.
to really tell what we really desire in life. So that's also what gap year helped me with. Like I took a gap year myself, and then I started actually shifting my thinking from academia to elsewhere. But then,
Mhm.
so I totally, I mean, 100% agree with that. All right. Oh yeah, one last thing I forgot to ask you, but like I'm personally interested in this. So what do you think is your biggest strength? Like if you could say it's one thing that you think is your strongest side that helped you the most in your career so far?
I think it's learning new things, like acquiring skills. I think it's something that I'm fairly quick with, so I can, learn how to program quickly or check some new, some new things. And that, of course, also, but so the downside to it is that basically I can never be an expert in any of this. So if you have multiple skills, then you never are an expert. But I feel that's fine. Like I don't need an expert to do most of the things. I just need to be able to understand how it works and just apply it. And yeah, so I would say that would be it.
Okay, cool. Great. Thank you so much, Maria, for all your insights, for sharing your story with us. Very interesting, and I'm looking forward to see how Skin Bliss develops further.
Me too.
Yeah, and you guys should put Maria on your radar as well, because in a few years she's becoming an angel investor. So you better track what she's doing. And yeah, I will definitely use Skin Bliss. I have to look it up. And we'll put a link to the app here in the description. So please, guys, take a look. And we would like to encourage you to use it, of course, and tell us what you think on social media. Thank you so much, Maria, for accepting
Thank you very much for having me.
Take care.
Yeah.
And you guys, if you would like to get more of this type of content, please subscribe to the channel. And we would like to welcome all your questions and comments in the description. So we'll take them. So please comment and ask us questions. And take care. See you next time.